Welcome to the Fancy Thinker. I'm Jared, and it is already time for the June 2025 update, my monthly update here. Um, yeah, May was a strange month for me. I only finished off two novels, a collection of short stories. I finished off a collection, and I finished off and I read a couple graphic novels. It doesn't seem like much compared to some of the other months that I did stuff, but I am in the middle of a lot of stuff. so, um, and read alongs and stuff like that. So, I read partials of a lot of things. So, it is what it is, right? So, with that in mind, I did promise you guys that I was going to talk about comics possibly this month. So I think I'm not going to go through every single comic I read because it's a lot of them. It'd be a whole nother video probably. But I will highlight a few special things that happened during the month. Yeah, so let's get into this stuff here. What did I finish in May? All right, I finished off first of all this, and I did this in one of my collective reviews. Um, I finished off the graphic novel version of A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, but adapted and illustrated by Fred Fordham. And as I stated in my review, this is from Clarion Books. This is a beautiful adaptation, and I highly recommend it, whether or not you've ever read the book. If you've read the book, you're going to just be amazed and blown away at his interpretation of it here. And if you haven't, then you're still going to enjoy the heck out of this. You will get the full story, and it's just beautifully done. So I read that, finished that off, and I finished off the anthology of Swords and Dark Magic. That's right. So the final story in this collection was called The Fool's Job by Joe Abercrombie. And I had never read Abercrombie before. He's very well known for his first law series. And so I was interested in checking out this short story by him, and overall I gotta say it was okay. It was okay. It was didn't blow me away or anything like that. I can see how people might like his style. It's he's got a little bit of humor in there, and in this particular story, the Fool's Job was about a group of mercenaries, and they all have their little they're like a motley crew. They have their individual personalities, and they take the fool jobs. They take jobs that are foolish, and that was kind of the point of this short story. And it was fun. It was interesting. The complications that arose because of the nature of the job, and just how this little company of mercenaries, they're not really that bright and they don't really look into things. So it was it was a fun story. It was neat. Not the best in the collection, but the collection as a whole was really well put together. There was a lot of cool stories in this collection. The highlight, of course, being Goats of Glory by Steven Erikson, but there was also some other cool stuff in here. A Black Company tale from Glenn Cook was in here. There's a Gene Wolfe story. CJ Cherry was a really good story. KJ Parker, A Rich Full Week was really cool story. There's a Michael Moorcock Elric story in here, really good. Um, and there were some other ones too. A Robert Silverberg story was really good. A Greg Keyes story was really cool. And Tanith Lee story was really good in here. And Caitlin Kernan. So a lot of great stories in here. The last two kind of fell off, but I would say out of the what was it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah. So like I would say 12 out of the 16 stories are really good. And so that's a pretty good batting percentage, I would say, So, about 750. So, yeah, if you get a chance and you like short stories, then Swords and Dark Magic, you definitely want to check out. So that's what I finished off as a short story and as a book and collection as a whole. All right, what else did I read in May? Yes, I read Box Office Poison by Alex Robinson. This is a big, fat graphic novel that came out way back in 2001 and collected a whole run of comics from the 90s, I believe. And so um, this was pretty interesting. This was um, a graphic novel that I picked up as a freebie at ICFA, the International Conference for the Fantastic and the Arts. It was a case of you buy 3 books in the bookstore, you get something off of a table for free. And I saw this and I picked it up and I'm glad I did. It was a really neat story, really good slice of life introspective of starving artists in New York City, and and commentary on the comic book industry as well in there. So I always like that stuff. Box Office Poison, I finished off. I also finished off a wonderful book called Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. And yeah, this was a fantastic book. It was heartfelt, heartwarming, um, bittersweet. Yeah, all those descriptions that just tug at the heartstrings and make you really think and really feel for an AI robot. Basically, Clara is the narrator of the book, and she's something bought in a store. So it's fantastic what he delved into in this book, and so check out my. This is part of one of my off the cuff reviews of a few things. So um, check out this book if you like some sci-fi, but really very literary, heart touching stories. So I also finished off in May Behold the Man by Michael Moorcock as part of our sci-fi. Clara and the Sun was part of the speculative speculation podcast, and Behold the Man is part of our sci-fi masterworks read along on Page Chewing, and so we just there'll be a discussion over this soon, but we read this, and this was a really cool, really neat short book. It it's about time travel, and you can tell who he's going to see the time travel. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed Moorcock's take on history and on mythology and theology and stuff like that. So very cool. Behold a Man by Michael Moorcock, and that's like all I finished off in May. But like I said before, we are in the middle of a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So what do we got going on here? We got yes, I started Fall in Ascent by Michael Woods. This is Individuation in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I read up until the end of the section on Memories of Ice. And this takes Carl Jung's concepts of individuation and archetypes and stuff and applies it to all the different storytelling aspects in Stephen Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen. How could I pass that up, right? So I read up to the Memories of Ice parts because I'm kind of just gonna read and try to follow along with the read along we're having on Page Chewing of Mal's and stuff. So uh, we'll see how that goes. I might end up just delving back into it anyways, but for now, I'll put it on pause and see how it goes. But I did get that much read at least. That's a good 150 pages that I got through there. All right. Yes, of course, I am also reading Destiny's Conflict by Janie Wertz, book 10 in the Wars of Light and Shadow out of 11. So the penultimate book, the book before it all ends. This is also the second book in the Sword of the Canon um, story arc, and it's really starting to pick up. I got a discussion on this later on today on the chapters 5 through 7, and so I'm about halfway through, and I'm looking forward to finishing it up this month. Yeah, I'll be finishing this up. So in the middle of that, I'm also reading Witchy Eye by D.J. Butler, and this is a first book in the Witchy War trilogy, and it's a really interesting premise and a really interesting way of magic and stuff like that. It takes place in this fictional um, 18th century United. It's not United States because the United States doesn't exist. There's different kingdoms from different various factions of European factions and what have you. It's really convoluted, but but it makes sense for the setting that Butler gives us, and I really like what he's doing with it. And like there's a Emperor of Ohio, the Ohio Valley, so it's really really wild and really cool. And there's a lot of history changing because of this magic's a real thing, and so of course you could imagine how that would change history. So I'm having a good time with it. I think I'm about 9 or 10 chapters in, which I'm not sure how big the book is because I'm reading it on the Baen website. Baen Books puts out this book, and it's free to read on the Baen website. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's really cool. Witchy Eye by D.J. Butler. Yes. So I am also in the middle of Salman Rushdie's Midnight's Children. Yeah, and I'm on part 2 right now, about 170 pages in, and this is we're gonna have a discussion on this in the beginning of July, so I'm making my way through it. It's part of our literary side hustle read along on page chewing. So really, I was really excited to get to this because I loved Satanic Verses by Rushdie, and I am loving this one so far. So far, so good. Yeah, so that's really cool. Um, that's Midnight's Children's. Yes. So for the current read on Speculative Speculations, we are reading Neil Stevenson's Reamdy, or Read Me, or whatever it is. And this is a big doorstopper of a book. It's 1,000-page novel, um, and so far it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's kind of more like a techno thriller, I guess you would say. The science fiction, I don't know how much science fiction. I mean, it involves some computer science, but it's not like it's anything that couldn't have happened. It's very realistic as far as that goes. Uh, the more interesting parts of the book are the thriller parts, the parts that you know put you on the edge of your seat and make you very tense. And so far so good. We're making our way through this about 120 or 150 pages at a time. So pretty cool. And silly me, I also started just barely the first 2 chapters. Um, I also started this collection of 2 Conan novels by John C. Hawking. The whole collection is called City of the Dead, but the first novel in here is called Conan and the Emerald Lotus. Um, and that's the novel I'm reading. So this is a short 200 something page novel, hoping to get done by the end of this month. Shouldn't have a problem doing that. And I like how Hawking started it off. So it starts off in wonderful Conan fashion, and I'm a sucker for a good Conan story. So I've been looking forward to this, and finally started it this month. It's just a few days ago, actually. All right. Whew. That's all the stuff I'm reading right now. All right. So what what else ongoing stuff do I got? We have short stories, of course. And I read another short story out of Tales Before Tolkien, The Roots of Modern Fantasy. And this month I read a story called The Elf Trap by Frances Stevens. And a female writer from way back in 1917 or so. Yeah, this was published in 1919 in a magazine called Argosy, and this was an interesting story. It's a it's the typical story of somebody getting trapped in the elfin world, either by mistake or being tricked or what have you. And So it's pretty interesting because it poses the question of elves having a different life than us, a different world, but still kind of being like us. Um, and he It was about this man. He's supposed to be like a scientist in some sort, and he's trying to find some things out, and he gets kind of lured into Elfland, and when he gets back, nobody believes him, and so that's basically the crux of the story. It's a pretty simple story, and it was pretty short. It's only 20 pages, and so I enjoyed it. The writing was well done by Frances Stevens, and she had a really good turn of phrase and stuff, and um, so I really enjoyed the writing, and I enjoyed the story as it went along, even though it was pretty basic stuff as far as stories go. But it was pretty cool though, pretty cool all told. So I am actually getting near the end of this collection too. I only got like 100, less than 100 pages ago. So that's pretty cool, huh? Tale Before Tolkien. I also read another tale out of Chinese myths and folk tales, and my friend Chris pointed out how perplexed I am by these things sometimes, and rightly so, because they're pretty strange. But this one was a nice five page story called "The Magic Sword," and it was pretty interesting because this magic sword kept demons away. In the presence of the sword itself, demons were like, "No, no, get away!" Right? So that was pretty cool. And so this guy has this sword, and he he ends up somehow he ends up the sword is at his house, but he goes out and he ends up talking to somebody, and he ends up falling in love with a demon, of course. Right? And but this demon's she's kind of awesome, actually. She's doesn't act like a demon. She's very helpful around the house, and she does all these things, and finally he's like, oh, they fall in love basically, and he's like, oh, well, come on in, and she's like, well, I can't. You gotta do something about that sword. And he's like, oh, okay. So he takes the sword somewhere, and he gets it. I think he gets it changed. Yeah, he goes to like a witch or something like that, and he gets it changed so that this particular demon is allowed to be in its presence, and they get married and live happily ever after. How about that? Funny stuff, really funny stuff. Another interesting tale, the magic sword from Chinese myths and folk tales. Okay, we also carried along with our short fiction side hustle discussion on my channel. Had a lot of fun talking about the story Penance from Stephen Donaldson's Read the Just and Other Tales. This is a reread for me, and Penance was like a novella. It was like a good 70 to 80 page novella. And it was Donaldson's take on the vampire ghoul myth. And I thought it was just spectacular. I thought he just did a great job of giving us something unique and very introspective, and taught us about thinking about stuff, about what it means to be the other as a vampire. So it was a pretty cool story from Mr. Donaldson. Now, I also, getting into comics, I'll start with another episode of Assassin's Apprentice 3, adaptation of Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice. So I read that thoroughly. Then I read a corresponding chapter in Assassin's Apprentice and had a good time kind of just transcribing what was going on between the two of them, and did a video on that. So go check that out when you get a chance. Some other comic highlights of the month. I read a lot of comics, but these ones were some of the unique things that happened during the month, and as far as comic books go. And this one's actually a magazine. This is Heavy Metal magazine. It's returning to the stands after a long hiatus, and this was just a smorgasbord of different science fiction, fantasy tales. Um, yeah, there's so much packed into there. This is like 240 something pages, so it's more like a graphic novel, really, but with magazine size and floppy like a magazine, but huge, and tons of stuff on there. I mean, just look at all the names involved here. There's a lot, and they really went all out in this first issue for the return of Heavy Metal magazine. Um, you know, this, of course, Heavy Metal, for those of you who don't know, is a magazine that is quite risque. So if you don't like that kind of stuff, you might not want to pick it up. But if you do like some really cool sci-fi tales, there's a lot of that in here too. So go ahead and get Heavy Metal if you like that kind of thing. I also would like to reiterate that I do read the Savage Sword of Conan, and I had to get this unlabeled cover, but it was cool because it showed the whole artwork of Joe Driscoll, the classic Conan on the being crucified there and eating the vulture. I love that. I love that imagery. That's one of my favorite stories. Um, A Witch is Born, I believe it's called, from the Conan canon. But this Savage Sword of Conan continues to be put out bi-monthly, and I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things. Excuse me. So the big one of the best new comics to come out in a while is this one here, and I'll take it out of the sleeve so you don't get the good thick glare. Called Assorted Crisis Events. This is the third issue here, and I just read it yesterday, and it was fantastic. And number two, the issue before this, was fantastic. Now, the premise of this series is time is having a crisis, and so all these weird dimensional time things are happening in the various issues, but they're single issue stories. So the stories don't have to be read in any kind of order or anything like that. You can read three right off the bat and not having read two in one. But they've all been fantastic, and they've all been getting just such good stuff. This is some top notch comic book storytelling, um, from through the art, the words, everything. It is just really, really well done. Um, yeah, it's the best comic going, really. And I was just been blown away by especially the last two issues. Just wow, just some really cool stuff. So I highly, highly recommend Assorted Crisis Events. They're really, the stories are so human and so touching and so disturbing in some ways. You think about stuff and get it. I'm telling you. I am telling you. And I also read a magazine called Free Inquiry, which is the Journal of Secular Humanist Ideas. This is a bi-monthly magazine that I get, and as a member for the Center of uh, Center for Inquiry. And I really like this magazine. It has a lot of great articles in it, and the crux of this one was celebrating 100 years of the Scopes trial about evolution in the schools, being taught in schools, and how that went. And so I really enjoyed some of the articles in here, that some of the history about the Scopes trial and what have you. And you know, there's a lot of science in here, a lot of neuroscience, a lot of psychology, of course, and philosophy is, of course, the main crux of this magazine. So check that out if you ever get a chance. It's a really cool magazine. All right, I have been talking for a long time here, so I'm gonna leave it there. Um, and yeah, let me know what you've been reading, what you're up to, and be good to each other.